So if you haven't already guessed, it's the founder of Venmo, Andrew Cortina. Welcome to the show. How's it going?
Good, man. Thanks for having me here.
Like, what's the origin story?
Like after about, I don't know, a year of bumming around in Philly, we both moved to New York to work for another startup called I'm in Like With You. That was kind of like a dating app. And then we both left there after that company pivoted to be like a social games type of company. And then I just kind of worked a bunch of like odd jobs kind of here in New York. But I always knew it, like I wanted to start another company with Ikram. So I was just kind of like sitting around waiting for him to say he wanted to start a company. And then so at one point he sent me a GChat message, which was like Google's instant messenger, and was like, all right, I'm ready to leave. I was like, great, let's do something. So we started getting together to work on different ideas. And one of the things that he said he thought was like a good place to be if you're a company is like in the middle of a transaction between two people. And you can just take a cut of the transaction as your fee. And so we started playing with ideas like that. And one of his girlfriend at the time was starting a yogurt, like a frozen yogurt shop in Philly. And she asked him for help setting up her credit card processor, like a credit card swiper thing. And this is like a little bit before Square came out. And so we were like, oh, we could build that. And so we got this like USB dongle credit card swiper and built a web interface for it because we were like, it should definitely be online and not like some sort of desktop software. And we got a credit card processing account for her through this company called First Data. And this was also before Stripe existed. So we had this credit card processing thing for her and had built it all out. And it worked kind of fine, and we pitched a bunch of people on it. And it was like exactly the same time that Jack Dorsey was pitching Square, and they were like, I think we've seen something a little bit better than this. So anyway, he had forgotten his credit card, and he was like, I'll write you a check to pay you back. And then we were just like, why are you, like, everything else we do is on our phones. And we had BlackBerries at the time, even though I think the iPhone had just come out. But we had BlackBerries, and we do everything on our phones. Why are we not using PayPal to do this? And then we like tried to do it through PayPal, and it was just not a good experience. And he was like, why don't we just work on this? And I was like, I don't know, like PayPal could do this. And like, how are we going to make money on it? And he's like, I don't know. We have this credit card processing account. Like, we could do this. Let's just like hack something together. And so we ended up like building something. And this was also before Twilio existed. So like basically I hacked a Google Voice account so that we could use it to send text messages, and then connected it to the yogurt shop First Data account so we could run credit card transactions. And then we had this system where you would you would text in parts of your name and credit card information, and it would like call you on the phone to get some piece of data that couldn't be sent over text message because of some security reason. And that was the initial version.
Wow.
And like I said, we had BlackBerries, and so we were just like, and BlackBerries didn't have threaded text message conversations at this time. And so we were just kind of like, I don't know, we just noticed that eventually our whole text message box was just these payments we were sending back and forth to each other for like a bar or lunch, or I don't know, like going to a gym class or something. And it was like kind of interesting stuff, and this type of stuff that we would talk about with our friends anyway. So Ikram was like, why don't we just like make this public? So what if I could see the stuff that you're paying for?
Wow.
And then we were like, well, but we wouldn't see the amount. Like, of course you wouldn't see the amount, right? Like that part's not important. And so that was sort of like where the idea for making the transactions public came from. And that, like, when we demoed that to people, like, even though it was kind of like kludged together, it was still pretty sweet because we were like getting the credit cards of all these venture capitalists, and like, I don't know, it was, and that was a very fun thing to market because you could market that anywhere.
Right.
Like we would be at a Thai restaurant and like talk to the table next to us and be like, all right, check this out. You're going to pay for everyone's lunch. Here's how it works, and just like get them on. And
so what was the hook? The hook was for the original version. You would pay for everyone's lunch, and then this is before the App Store, so it's before you had an actual iOS app.
Right.
And so it was all over SMS?
Yeah, it was all over SMS, and the idea was it's just much easier than PayPal because the PayPal sort of like, I don't know, grew to dominance by facilitating transactions for eBay.
Yep.
And eBay is a very different type of transaction than a transaction with your friend, where it's like somebody you don't know and probably don't trust, and there's physical goods going in the mail. So it's like an extremely high fraud rate environment. So they have all these like roadblocks in your way to try to like slow down the transaction so that everything, takes a lot of time, and they have a lot of opportunities to intercede if there is fraud going on. And we were like, let's just build something where it's only focused on friends who already trust each other, and just get rid of all this garbage that gets in your way if you're trying to use PayPal. We even eventually came up with this feature where like I could text in like pay Tade $10 for the sparkling water or whatever, right? And like do that. I could request money from you also. I could request $10 from you for the sparkling water. And our first investor, this guy Sam, who was an old friend of mine and Ikram's, was like, this request thing is still, it's too hard. What if I could just take money from you? And we were like, that's actually kind of cool. Like, so we built this new relationship so you could have friends on Venmo, you could trust people on Venmo. And if you and I trusted each other, then we can just take money out of each other's wallet. It was amazing. Like, it was so cool because like, there's like social norms that kind of dictate how that sort of thing should and should not be used. Obviously, that was the first thing that got shut down after PayPal bought Venmo, but I think it was just ahead of its time.
So take me through like the scaling of Venmo. Like, so, angel round, Series A led by Samir at Excel, open office in New York, hire random people from the street, grow to, probably 30 or 40 over maybe a year, and then when did it feel like, okay, this is going to be huge, and this is like taking off, and it's a beast, and it's growing faster than you can keep up with, and like how long did it take to get there?
It's tough to say. Like, we always had a lot of confidence because we were always growing 20% month over month, just pretty much from the beginning of the company.
Wow.
Like, once we moved to New York, I would say we were like pretty confident it was going to work because by that point we had a bunch of people we didn't know using it, and they were publishing transactions. Like, we weren't sure if people other than me and Ikram would share their transactions with the public. But then once people started doing that, we were like, okay, this seems to work, and it just keeps growing. So it was, I don't know, it always kind of seemed obvious to us. But yeah, we ended up we weren't able to raise a Series B, but then Samir introduced us to this other, well, actually he introduced us to the CEO of this other company called Braintree. And he was like, no, dude, I think you guys should try to like merge with Braintree. And then so we went back and met with them again.
And so just to understand it, like how big were you guys at this like Series B? How many people?
I think we were probably like 40 or 50 people. Even, so when Venmo sold to Braintree, and then like a year and a half later when Braintree plus Venmo sold to PayPal, Venmo wasn't making any money. Like, we had a plan for how to get there that worked, but I mean, I'm sure PayPal invested billions of dollars in subsidizing transactions before Venmo became profitable. So were it not for, I mean, many people, but specifically for Bill and Braintree and then PayPal, just understanding how a business like this actually works and makes money, there would be no Venmo today.
What was the highest return on investment in growth idea that you guys came up with at Venmo?
The public feed.
Public feed. So that led to rapid growth. And this is from Armando.
Because it helped. I mean, one, it showed you how to use the product. It showed you the amount was not going to be public, and it also showed you that lots of other people were using this project and trusted it.
Chelsea, one of our students, asked, like how much in terms of an initial budget did it take for you guys to go and just get the initial prototype out?
We did that all while we were both still working at other jobs.
So nights and weekends, beer and pizza, coding in the evenings.
Yep.
Cool.
Which I would recommend.
If you could say something to your 19-year-old self, how would you, like, what would you say, and yeah, how would you advise them?
On the one hand, like software engineering is really fun. The reason I'm doing film stuff now is because I was just thinking about there's so little compassion for people with different points of view. Like you have a conversation with someone and they'll immediately write off half of the country for what I think are just absurd reasons.
Yep.
And I was thinking about the things in my life that led me to have more compassion or a deeper understanding of the world. A lot of it was like mentors and teachers and friends and stuff, but definitely a lot of it was art and literature and film. And I was like, all right, I just want to spend time putting things into the world that maybe can increase the level of compassion a little bit. And so if I can do that for a couple other people the way other people have done that for me, that's kind of where I want to spend my time. I don't know how, maybe that was maybe that's always important, but to me that seems more important than building another software company right now.
All right, let's end there. Thanks so much, Andrew. Everyone give him a round of applause. Appreciate you for coming by.
Thanks, man. It was fun.